local recordings off. It's fine.
Hello and welcome everyone. You are tuning in for yet another Live at 5 XP Property and XP Property Group Expose Friday, where we go through everything that we've been working on in our several businesses this week. To give you a bit of an overview of our businesses, if you haven't joined us before, it's XP Property Development Business, XP Surveys, Measured Building and Topographical Surveying Business, Central Streets Property Management and Lettings Business, and Aura Architecture, based in Clapham, obviously an architectural practice. Ben's just tapping away because we've got a lot of exciting things to be sharing with you on this Friday. And please do make sure that you share and put some questions in whatever platform you're in. We get questions from YouTube, from Facebook, from Instagram. Make sure you put them in because we can see them, and hopefully we can give you valuable answers because the people that have been asking questions before have been thoroughly enjoying the questions that we've been putting through. So without further ado, I think we'll dive straight into it. Getting straight into deal heavy territory, or we're going to show a bit of a summary first, Ben?
Yeah, we'll do a little bit of a summary when I can figure out where I'm at. The first port of call is number one is we were meant to exchange on our latest development today. So Jack, if you want to, complete. Yeah.
So we've been quietly working away on a development in West Drayton. For you that don't know where that is, that's West London, just inside the M25, near Heathrow. So we're buying a solicitor's office on the high street with another developer. Big shout out to Jay, who's coming in with us on that one. We agreed an exchange delay completion of 4 months, and on Monday marks the fourth month that we need to complete on the purchase. So we are buying the site. Or joint venture or investing partner have done all of your paperwork a day or two before, so that it's just a case of drawing down the funds. And normally funds can take 24 hours to draw down, depending on how large the payments are. So today everything was signed, sealed, delivered before midday, went off to the bank so that we can complete in a timely manner on Monday without any issues. So definitely stay ahead of that. So West Drayton, as a bit of detail, it's an old solicitor's office that we're buying actually directly off a trust that owned it, which was a soliciting firm. You can see it there on the top left-hand corner. It's actually called the Old Chapel because you guessed it, it's an old chapel, not listed, but the building itself has been used for decades as 2 retail units. You can see the retail unit on the left-hand side on the roller shutter doors, and quite a large sort of 3,500 square foot office space. We're buying it unconditionally off the owner, and we have a planning application that's currently in for 6 apartments. So we're converting the office to 6 apartments, and we're keeping the retail units. Some other good news that we've had really in the last 2 weeks is a lot of people might be able to resonate with this, specifically residential developers, is the commercial aspect of some buildings can be a riskier part of the site. Can you let it? Is it possible to let? We're coming on to our building inspectors with later today, but that can be quite a big risk for a residential developer. We haven't even bought the site yet. We've got 2 leases in place on 10-year full repairing leases, but someone to take each space on, which is really good news. And we're going to go into the site with a great covenant and rental income on both the retail units, so that we're armed with our conversion to 6 flats and another commercial unit at the front. So stay tuned for that deal. Completion Monday, hopefully planning soon, and we'll be cracking on with that as soon as we do. Just to give you a bit of an idea of how we funded that, we have gone with a purchase lender called Glenhawk that bought the site with. We didn't want to get development facility yet because we haven't got full planning consent, therefore we wouldn't capitalise on the new value. So we will then trade that in for a development facility, and we also bought that with a joint venture equity partner on this deal. So that's how we funded it. I think we're probably ready now. You've got a picture up to move on the Colney Hatch then.
Yep. Okay, so Colney Hatch Lane, which we've discussed in the past, it is this stunning property here in number 2. I will try and get a different share up as well. So share screen. So basically, last week we said we had a planning officer meeting. So they had a couple of queries on the scheme that they wanted to talk through with us. And fundamentally, Monday afternoon, we had a conversation with the planning officer. So we've got 2 applications running in tandem on this scheme. It's currently 2 large HMOs, pair of semis, 2,500 square feet each. And we have submitted 1 application to extend to the rear, to the side, into the basement level, to create 2 large executive family homes. So the sort of thing that's £3 million each, GDV of circa 6 million. And the second application is the same envelope, pretty much the same design, but to convert the space into 9 flats. Our preference would be the 9 flat scheme in terms of the one that we would build out, because it is the higher of the GDVs. We've spoken to a couple of agents locally to get their input, which I would recommend everyone does. And fundamentally, the feedback was that the better scheme to put forward and take to build would be the 9-unit scheme. There's pros and cons of each. The houses, you've only got 2 properties to sell, but they're at a higher value. So, that comes with risk. And 9 units, obviously, they're each individually at a lower price point, but there's more of them to sell. So there's just some sort of pros and cons of each. Build costs are slightly cheaper with the family homes, because you've not got as much fire and acoustic requirements to go through. You've got less kitchens, less bathrooms than the 9-unit scheme. So these are the types of things that we weigh up as developers. The feedback basically from the planning authority, we had the planning officer from both the 2-unit scheme and the 9-unit scheme on the call, which was great. And we kind of feel like that was only the case because Friday last week, we made a complaint to a local MP. So the local MP seemed to have shot a rocket up their arses. And we had them on a call literally, the week after, saying, it's not, we've just had a few issues changing systems internally. We're happy to jump on a call and discuss our concerns. And fundamentally, they just wanted us to make a few tweaks. So they thought the rear elevation, which you're looking at now, was a bit too monolithic, too top heavy. And we are in the background now breaking up and trying to review options to split that sort of massing of metal cladding at the top half, block brick, and trying to just separate that massing a little bit at the rear. They wanted us to reduce the side dormers by 1 meter in terms of length and make a few changes on the security of the access requirements. So that was really it. Nothing that is impossible for us to change. We've said we will go away and make those updates to the package. The planning officer has very kindly said that he would review our changes to the rear elevation before we finally submit our preference, just to give a bit of a, if we present him 3 options and he said, I like this one, that's the one that we put forward, because we know that it's likely to get approved. So yeah, that's those are the conversations that we've been having with the planning officer this week on Colney Hatch Lane. Number 3, Sunset Court. So the scaffolding is down, and I will hopefully show you.
I'm happy to.
Go on, you can give it. Yeah, give it.
Well, we've just finished. One of the points that I'm going to be sharing today is we just finished our company review, which is where we get all of the groups of companies, so XP Surveys, XP Properties, Central Suites, Aura Architecture, all together in a room, and we just talk about where we are, where we're going, where we've been, just so that everyone's singing off the same hymn sheet. So we're currently in a pub in Henley that has a private room, and they've decided to turn the lights down a bit. So if you can't see our faces, that's why. But you shouldn't be looking at our faces anyway. You should be looking at the deals and all the gritty info. Got a question from James, quite good timing actually, James, while Ben pulls together Sunset Court, is how did you find the tenants for a commercial element of West Drayton? Really, really good question. And we will actually go into a bit more detail about commercial tenanting later when we talk about Spencer's Wood, but I can give you the answer on that. So when we take on, this is actually a really key information for anyone buying a building that needs full planning from a commercial building to a residential building. That's full planning, not permitted development. When we were buying the site, we don't want to risk that the council will turn around in the full planning application and tell us that the asset is a community asset, or it's not fit for change, or it's in demand. So what we do on commercial buildings is we put a billboard sign up to let the building, and we run a marketing campaign from as soon as we physically can to start that click rolling, so that when we submit planning, we've got a bit of a backstory that there's not been that many inquiries for commercial. So we instructed an agent to put a board up and market the whole office space as is. And what we also did with that estate agent is said, look, we've got these 2 retail units. One of them is occupied, one of them is vacant. We want to re-sign with the occupied lease. I did that directly, so I know this may sound cheap, but to save an agent's fee, the tenant's there. All we need to do is agree terms and get them into legals. So we did that with the existing tenant on a rent rise 10-year full pairing lease, and they're a beauty salon. But the other unit was vacant. But because we're on West Drayton High Street, we had so much demand. We held 1 viewing day and had 3 offers over asking, and it was more a case of us picking who we wanted rather than will it let. So the second unit was let by the agent that we're marketing. That's BWP. They're a Henley-based commercial agent. If you haven't checked them out, please check them out. They actually operate in the office next door to XD Property, so we know them really, really well.
Cool, good stuff. Hopefully I can now share some footage from the Sunset Court site in Princess Risborough. Hopefully this is now playing. Yeah, good stuff. So Carpet Day was last week, which is, as all you sort of developers know, is when a development starts looking like a development and not a construction site. Why is that playing? There we go. It's going through now, yeah?
No.
Is it being really? No, I think it's just being really laggy. So scaffolding's down. You can see the new build houses have carpet. The finishes and fittings are pretty much there. We've got to do a bit of snagging for the new builds, but I actually haven't been to site for about 2 weeks, so I'm looking forward to going next week and seeing the progress. We've got a 4-piece bathroom suite in the houses. These are on for £425,000 each. They've both got garden space and a dedicated parking space with an EV charger, big kitchen, open plan kitchen living spaces, downstairs loo, understairs cupboard. Yeah, they are currently on the market. There's just some final snagging to do on them, and we're super excited to have those finished. The flats, which have been part of an office conversion into 4 flats, is sort of 95% complete. We're waiting on some final sign-off from planning, and the landscaping in the next week or so will be completed. So we've got boundary treatment walls going up, we've got railings going in, planting, and some reconstituted brick stone pavers on the in the parking area. So yeah, super excited about this one. We are launched to market, and the viewings are starting to roll in quite considerably now that it's sort of fully finished or almost fully finished, and people can start to see it as a home rather than a construction site. So watch this space. Hopefully we have some sales offers coming through.
If anyone wants to find more about that deal, ask us a question, but also in some of the previous videos, we talked about how we secured that. That was an on-market deal, and we should achieve in excess of 26% return on GDV, and that's a fully consented site on the open market. Some comments here from James. Loving those little bespoke shelves in the bedroom roof pitches. Yeah, thank you for that. We thought that it's a terrible use of space, so we make it a good use of space. Thanks to Alex as well. Looks great, guys. Cool. On next is my lovely dog. Really long story short, he is a little bit of a terror. So Cheddar is an adopted, I suppose you could call that a rescue dog from California. He's a Catahoula leopard breed type, and he basically runs around owning the office space. But this week he decided to treat us by pulling an integrated toilet roll holder out of the brickwork because he wanted to do a little cute Andrex puppy play, and that very much went wrong. What we've learned is he's definitely too rambunctious and big for the office. But if you don't follow me on Instagram, you might not have seen Cheddar so much. So for anyone out there that hasn't seen Cheddar, that's Cheddar, the nuisance in the office.
Good stuff.
Cool.
So next is MIPIM. For those that don't know what MIPIM is, it's pretty much the largest real estate event in Europe, and it's happening from the 13th to the 17th of March. So in 2 weeks' time, Jack and I will be heading over to Cannes in the south of France to spend 3 days networking and meeting new funders, new investors, new developers, new contractors, anyone in the real estate space that could be there, will be there, and it's something that we've never done before, so it's super exciting. If you are going, drop us a direct message, comment below, let us know if you want to meet up, because we've got downtime. Our calendars are getting booked up pretty sharpish, but we're looking to meet new contacts, widen our network, find new investment partners. We've got a lot of projects in the pipeline, which if you tune into this, you'll know about. We always like to widen our network and meet new people. So do get in touch if you're going.
We considered attending MIPIM and might attend next year. Thanks, John. Well, let us know if you do go next year, and we can let you know what it was like this year. Cool. On to the business box in Spencer's Woods. This was development we bought nearly 4 years ago, I believe. Actually 4 years ago this month, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which was a existing mixed-use building that had 4 studios, 7 really small offices, and 4 storage units in the rear. We managed to get planning permission to extend both the buildings into 7 offices and 7 apartments. We retained ownership of the site, and we've been marketing the building since completion, which is probably going back about 16 months now on the residential, and about 12 months ago, for example, for the commercial. And one of the reasons we wanted to bring this up was sort of putting we had more viewing this year for office space, these office spaces, than we did last year. Popular or flexible working. We have quite flexible terms with our employees, but it's certainly picked up. I'd love to hear when I'm doing this in the commercial office space. So something that was taking a little while to fill. We've got a really promising few weeks ahead of us to get it, everything let out and fully complete. So there's 7 office suites with 4 let out. I think the remaining will quickly. So if anyone office space in great range to the M4 corridor, great access to the M4 in fact, then we'd be welcome to hear from you.
Yeah. So this next point is the reason that we're a little bit flustered and kind of not as well prepared for this as we normally are is because we just spent the last 3 hours with the wider XP group and all of the other suite of businesses that we run. So if you don't know that much about kind of who we are, Jack and I have been building businesses for the last 5-6 years, I guess. Starting with Aura Architecture, which I started 6 years ago, following working for the Berkeley Group. I quit there and started building an architectural practice. Jack and I joined forces to start XP Property 4.5 years ago. At the same time, he started Central Suites with his brother. We've since started XP Surveys, and Aparo Social is a social housing portfolio that we've been building for the last 2 years and is currently on the market. Not all of that, because we work in different areas. So the XP Property office is in Henley-on-Thames and the Aura office is in Clapham in Southwest London. There's not always a good opportunity to kind of see into the other businesses. So what we do every quarter or 3 times a year is get everyone together. So we had sort of 15 people around the table that I'm sitting at, and then another 15 people tuning in via Zoom from London. joining in to basically hear about all the things that were going on throughout the businesses. So more often than not, Oscar and Sam and Kyle, who have surveyed a property via XP Surveys, that survey gets fed through to Aura. Aura designs the scheme for XP that they've just bought, and then some of the rental properties that XP Property deliver and hold get passed over to Central Suites from a property management perspective. So there's this whole ecosystem of businesses that we've got going, and it's great, we think, to bring everyone into that process within the businesses to give a good insight into everything else that's going on. So yes, we've spent the last three hours kind of doing that with the team, and there's always good feedback in terms of how it helps them and give them a bit of satisfaction to see something that they've worked on actually go through that whole process from start to finish.
I also think, just to add on to that, the way I learn is I want to know the full picture from a sort of bird's eye view before I delve down into the details. So if we've got this, almost sausage machine of buy, design, buy, survey, design, develop, retain. If we've got that sausage machine of pipeline, it's really difficult to understand what that output needs to be or what that needs to look like. So it's good to give people a bird's eye view in our organisation so that they can understand where they fit within that role. But in addition to that, what I would say is when we first started up as a company, and someone asked one of our team members what the group do, we want to make sure that we're capitalising on that opportunity for our internal person in the company being able to translate what we do as a business as best they can. And we found that became best from education and showing them everything that we're up to. So we look at now, before, and then future, and sort of get ideas. We've had, I think, something like 14 pizzas around the table, and we just chat about what we're doing and what we're up to.
A lot of noise going on in the background. Yeah. Sorry, people are moving chairs around. Yeah, it's something that I would definitely implore anyone who has teams to get them around for a sort of business strategy sessions to really get them buying into the vision of what you're trying to build. We even go to the depths of talking about the individual financing across the board. So, the revenues that each company's bringing in, the profit margin that we're currently running at, giving people an insight into all of that helps them visualize where it's going, and they see themselves a part of that growth. So yeah, something that we definitely get good feedback on. One thing that I brought up on here, I mentioned that we're going to MIPIM. One of the big things that we want to get out of MIPIM is a bigger network of investment and partners to work with going forward. This is a slide that we pulled together for some recent conversations we've been having with some equity partners, just showing them in terms of the previous history of what we've raised. So we've actually raised just over £5 million worth of equity investment across the projects that we've worked on. That's been coupled with over 12.5 million of debt via sort of your challenger banks and high street banks. And looking forward into our sort of 24-month forecast, our requirements are even greater. So we've done 5.3 million in equity investment previously. We're looking for 6.7 over the next 24 months, and that will be coupled with 24 million of debt. So if you are a lender, if you have equity, if you have money sitting around that you want to put into good use, we have schemes available to invest in. We'd love to hear from you. Do contact us. And if you've got any questions about that, do either comment below or message us directly.
Very good. Last point, which so Ben and I have been probably subscribed to businesses for sale pages for several years, and we actually got banned from setting up any other businesses from team and wives. But Ben and I always have sort of sight on easier routes of scale or sensible, creative ways that we could, negate, stagnant growth in business or whatever it may be. So Ben and I have actually been having preliminary conversations with two surveying businesses that do the same thing that we do, but in a slightly different location or with a slightly different methodology of how they achieve their product. They might use different types of kit, or they might be in a different stage in their lifestyle if it's a director that's running the company. And I just thought it would be good to put it out there that we're Considering mergers and acquisitions, and we've had 2 positive conversations. We put a proposal to the first firm, which didn't actually transpire into much, but these things always come back. We know that from property development. We've secured more sites on the second go than we have on the first, or third or fourth, in all honesty. But we had a promising conversation this week with quite an aspirational surveying company that we're really keen to sort of nurse and see how we could potentially work together. And that, from our perspective, will help us negate quite a few of the struggling pains of growth, spreading location, learning expertise, sharing expertise, and that's something that we've been looking at. So I'll be really keen to hear if any of our followers in here are engaged in mergers and acquisitions of businesses. What I mean by that is buying and selling other businesses. One thing that is mostly attractive about those types of businesses is you can be really creative and almost build a buyout financial plan for those types of businesses. But we've had positive conversation. It's something that's on our radar, and we just wanted to share that from this week.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, so building Aura in the background, it's all been bootstrapped. There's been no investment, kind of external investment pumped into Aura. And that's been a slow and it's been painful at times. It's been a slow process. Where we want to get to with XP Surveys is that level of growth, but faster. And one great way of doing that is to build in and buy in existing businesses that have operations, that have a team, that have a black book of existing clients. So effectively, day one, you're making profit from day one, instead of trying to build the systems yourself and growing a team yourself, which can be a slow and painful process. So yeah, mergers and acquisitions, I think, is the natural progression for us as kind of business owners. It's something that neither of us have done, but it's definitely on our radar to help inject growth into our businesses.
Just wanted to highlight something there. Ben struggled to say that business growth has been painful. Sorry, kids, business is painful. Warts and all, it's very challenging and painful sometimes.
Very true.
Good.
Fun fact.
Yeah. Take that one to a late night. Cool.
I think
we've covered it, haven't we?
I think we have. Yeah, I think actually that is really worth talking about a little bit more. Like, I think people go to property education platforms and seek guidance and really expect within a year to be millionaires, and it's just not that easy. There's probably some unicorns out there that have achieved that sort of level of success within 12 months, and hats off to you, but it's not going to happen for everyone. You have to really have the tenacity and self-belief to really go out there and grab it, because it's not going to sit there on a plate for you. You have to be personable. You have to build a team to help you achieve those goals that you're aiming for. And it is hard work. So yeah, if you're getting into business right now, if you're getting into property, don't expect it to be a walk in the park, because you will be thrown spanners left, right and center, and you'll have to do your best to dodge them and move forward.
Yes.
Cool. I think that's probably it for today. If there aren't any more questions, if you do have any questions, do let us know. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, follow us across social media, please do hit that subscribe button, click like, share if you can, because at the moment we're distributing this to our own network. We really want you guys that are watching week in, week out to share this if you think it's been valuable, or if you think it can be valuable to other people, not necessarily just on the live stream, but even when it goes comes out of the live stream and just sits there in the various social media platforms. Do share it with anyone that you think might get some value from it. So thanks for tuning in.
And do feel free to push some topics into next week. We're here to help. We've tuned into lots of these types of things to educate ourselves on what we're doing. So if anyone's got any questions, just let us know. I think we're all wrapped up.
We're good to go. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Take care.
Speak to you next week. Cheers.
Bye-bye.